Hello Internet, and welcome to my review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations, episode 81. When we last left our heroes, we were not focusing on our heroes at all. We were just focusing on Mitsuki and Sekie and Kokio's whole group. And Mitsuki and Sekie had a great bit of bonding. Sekie revealed that he is aware that Mitsuki did not kill the guardsman and sent a message for Boruto when he first left, but is keeping that a secret. That will probably be held over Mitsuki's head at some point later on. But also, we just kind of all grew to love Sekie. He is so lovely, and I love Sekie already. But yeah. Then we briefly saw that, and then Kuratsuchi got captured by Lord Ku. Onoki is unconscious, just because he's an old man. And yeah, Boruto's unconscious from the fight with Mitsuki. So yeah, moving right along. The first thing we really see is Shikadai and Sarada, like, keeping vigil over Boruto's unconscious, body. And we see here what I really like throughout the entire episode is everyone very much, like, thinks through their actions. They're not, they're not really driven by this, emotional response, oh, we have to rescue Mitsuki because there's no way Mitsuki could be doing anything wrong, or we can't back down now. They, think through it, and they reach, in the end, of course, the typical shonen decisions. We're gonna follow Mitsuki and drag him back kicking and screaming. But there's a lot more, thought put into it. I'll make a lot of comparisons throughout the video to Naruto and the Sasuke Retrieval and early Shippuden days. And why this seems... I'm a fervent defender, as I'll get into later, of Naruto's treatment of Sasuke, and Sasuke Retrieval, and later on. But I'm glad that we do really see why they make the choices they make. I think that's a really smart move. And we see Shikadai and Sarada, first off, discussing whether or not to return home and check in the Leaf Village. They decide, I forget exactly why they choose to follow Mitsuki. I think it's that it'll, take too long, and whatever's happening will already happen. That does lead me to a problem with this arc, is that we really don't know what Mitsuki's group is after. What do they want Mitsuki for? Is it to make better artificial intelligence? I don't know. Or artificial humans, I mean. I don't really know. But after that, we cut to Inojin and Chocho, they're scouting, I think, for, any other attackers, I want to say. There was a fairly wide gap between I watched the first half and the back half of the episode, because I had a meeting to go to midway through the episode. But I do love, there's a moment where Inojin is by himself, and he sees something, move in the bush. And he, freaks out before he finds out it's a rabbit. And I really like the idea of Inojin being, almost traumatized from how, badly he got whooped by Kokio. It's one of those reminders of, yeah, these kids are kids, which Naruto is particularly infamous for, never really going into, the fact that the world is filled with child soldiers, which it eventually did, but it wasn't exactly anti-child soldier, which is a controversial position to take. But, I do like the reminder that Inojin is still, a 12-year-old boy who is fighting a man who could have killed him like that. Also, I might just be really weak to, any kind of, jump scare or anything, but I literally, gasped when Inojin turned around, and the Acuna was, just an inch away from him. I was like, oh shit. But that being said, I love the baby Acuna so much. He is so cute. He is the cutest thing in the entire series. I spent the whole scene with Inojin and the baby Acuna just wanting to hug him so much. He reminds me almost of, in a small way, also because it's been a long time since I saw this episode. Do y'all remember, people who've watched Fairy Tail, the 2-part filler after that awful Eclipse Celestial Spirit arc, where, Natsu befriends a little, green forest nymph that turns out to be, an island spirit or something? He reminds me of that guy. Except, I doubt, because he's just an Acuna, I doubt he's gonna be, a forest spirit or anything, or, the soul of an island or anything. But anyway, I love the baby Acuna so much. And also, later on, after the gang forces Inojin to be the one to bond with the baby Acuna to see if it's, like, safe to travel with them, Inojin's very, like, he starts out very, like, oh, I don't care about you at all, you know, and just through, like, the sheer force of how adorable the baby Acuna is, he very slowly, like, starts to love this thing. And by the end, he's, like, he kind of, like, plays it off all tsundere style, oh, yeah, if we need him to, like, prove the Acuna exist, you know, we can take him back. But, like, he also just loves his son. He loves his son, the Acuna, and I don't know if it's possible just by how Acuna work, but, like, I want the baby Acuna to stick around after this arc. He's so cute. The Yamanaka family needs a pet. The Yamanaka family needs a pet. But while all this is going on, nope, I guess not in a second. On a more serious thematic note, about the baby Acuna, we see Inojin, you know, when the baby Acuna tries to kill the rabbit, Inojin accosts, scolds him and draws a picture of the Acuna and the rabbit and tells him that life is precious. And, like, you know, and that is implied to include the baby Acuna. No matter that it was, like, created as a weapon to, like, wipe out Boruto's group, the Mitsuki Retrieval Squad, the fact that he's, like, on their side and he's alive. Whether or not he's, you know, sentient like Kokio's group or like naturally born like the Mitsuki Retrieval Squad or any other human in the universe, the Akuna's life and the rabbit's life matter because they're alive. And because they are alive, they are real. Which stands as a sharp counterpoint both to what Kokio said back in, I think, 79 or 78, about the Acuna not really mattering because, like, oh, who cares if they die, they're just, like, unthinking beings, and to Mitsuki's overarching concerns about how he feels about Boruto. How his whole thing is, like, I thought Boruto was my son, but are those feelings just implanted? What I think, what this whole scene with the baby Acuna makes me start to believe is that the arc's message is, maybe those feelings were implanted, but who cares? They're still real. Mitsuki still feels them. And if so, the baby Acuna is a great way to get to that point. But I have been, I've not been talking about the dream sequence, which I'm gonna cover in its full now. While this is going on, Boruto's unconscious, and he has a dream where Mitsuki showed up the day that he went missing, instead of joining off with Team Kokio. And, you know, they go off and have a regular adventure, and then they eat burgers, and then Garaga shows up. And, you know, I saw a very small amount of criticism for 79, how after Mitsuki runs away, Garaga just doesn't, like, fucking eat Boruto, like he promised back in the Ryuchi Cave. And, you know, at least Dream Garaga remembers that promise. Or is he Dream Garaga? Because I commented earlier, Boruto and Mitsuki had this, like, moment. Boruto and Dream Mitsuki had this moment where Dream Mitsuki tells Boruto just to, like, run away. You just keep running. Which eventually, of course, the lesson is that that's not what you should do. More on that in a little bit. But Garaga just, like, stands there while all this is happening. So my first comment was that I love the dream logic of Garaga just standing there. It's this surreal kind of way to remind us that, like, this isn't real, it's just a dream. But then I have to ask, is it dream logic, or is it, like, a plot hole? Because later on, you know, it seems that it was actually Garaga, via, you know, the summon contract allows him to interact with Boruto's mind, which is kind of weird. I don't think that's... Because, an overarching thing is that Boruto and Garaga's interactions, not their personality style, though that too, but, like, the ways they interact in that kind of, like, mental consciousness state is very reminiscent of Naruto and Kurama. Much more so than it is reminiscent of, like, Naruto and the Toads, or, we don't really see enough of Sakura and Sasuke's summon contracts to really see how they react to their own summon beasts. But we don't get anything like this kind of, like, mental state, and really anything except the tailed beasts. So that's a weird little thing. I'm not quite sure. You know, it doesn't really detract from the plot. It's as a Naruto nerd, it kind of bothers me. But yeah, anyway. After that scene with Boruto and Dream Mitsuki, Boruto wakes up or awakens or enters into a new state of the dream inside that kind of, as I mentioned, Tail Beast style mental chamber. And Garaga, like, actually delivers some, like, valid life lessons here. It's really weird. You know, he correctly tells Boruto that he can't keep running away from what Mitsuki did. He has to accept his pain and, like, face it head on. And he can't deny it and, like, run from it, like Dream Mitsuki tells him to do. And, like, sure, you know, Garaga's actual point is wrong. Garaga's point is, you know, that Boruto should just accept that life is pain and just hate everyone. You know, face reality, life sucks. And not face reality, Mitsuki might have joined the wrong side, but you can still save him. But that ends up being, thankfully, the lesson Boruto gets. So I mentioned comparing this, Boruto's treatment of Mitsuki to Naruto's treatment with Sasuke in the Retrieval arc. And so, OG Naruto got a lot of crap all through the years with how little Naruto seemed to care about what Sasuke wanted and going to Orochimaru. You know, how he talked about rescuing Sasuke despite the fact that Sasuke was notably not kidnapped. And I do think a lot of that was mostly unwarranted. Sasuke was very clearly being manipulated by Orochimaru. You know, it wasn't that Sasuke wanted to go to Orochimaru, sure, but both Orochimaru was planning to kill him, and Orochimaru was very much manipulating him into doing that. So Naruto was right to try to stop Sasuke from going, even if that wasn't why Naruto ignored Sasuke's wants. But, you know, Naruto did get a lot of crap for, you know, he was talking about rescuing Sasuke when Sasuke was not really someone in need of rescuing, in the physical sense. So I'm very happy to see, Boruto and Sarada actually, like, there's a little moment where Sarada's like, if Mitsuki's going with these guys, and this is what he wants, maybe we should let him. So I'm very happy that there is that kind of moment. I'm also glad that Boruto admits that his desires aren't, like, they're not just, we have to rescue Mitsuki. That is there. He says, you know, if Mitsuki's if Mitsuki's been kidnapped by these guys, of course we have to rescue him. And if not, if he's gone down the wrong path, we have to stop him. We have to, both, you know, because Mitsuki shouldn't be a bad person, and also because I don't want my friend to be with these people that, like, hurt the Leaf Village. And so I'm glad that Boruto is able to, like, admit that there is a grain of selfishness in his desires. So yeah, that was a really good moment. That was, you know, all of the stuff about, like, thinking things through is really what this episode is all about, before we move into what I imagine is going to be the final act of the arc. Because as we end, the Mitsuki Retrieval Squad ends up at the border of the Stone Village. Truly awful nitpick right here. They see Iwa, they see the Stone Village, and they say, you know, the Land of Earth, as if those are the same thing. But as a Naruto nerd, I have to tell you, those are two distinct entities, and hidden villages are, you know, both apart and distinct from their respective nations, and they are not the same thing. But anyway, that's my nitpick. And so they arrive at the Stone Village, and Boruto reveals his plan is to see Onoki, who we saw last week was unconscious, but we see in the next time preview is not unconscious, which is kind of weird. But yeah, with all of that thinking out of the way, we move into our final act as the gang arrives at the Stone Village, ready to infiltrate the hidden Stone Village, as next episode is simply called. And yeah, the gang moves out, and that's where we end off. So all in all, I don't think this episode quite measures up to the high of last week. You know, Sekie and Mitsuki's relationship is so thematically into, like, the meat of the arc. And this episode touches a little bit on the meat of the arc, on the value of an artificial life. But that doesn't quite get into it the way last week did. But, you know, it was still a great episode. We got, as I mentioned, the bonding between Inojin and his Acuna son. Hashtag let baby Acuna live 2K18. I'm down for baby Acuna surviving. And then Garaga, of all the people in the world, gives Boruto the lesson he needs to, like, make a decision. And then Boruto and Sarada, discussing what Mitsuki would actually want instead of just doing the typical shonen thing of, like, who cares what he wants, this is what we want. Even if they do admit they're still in kind of a who cares what he wants, this is what we want. at least they're, like, honest about it in a way that Naruto never really was. So yeah, this was a really great episode. And next time we are checking back on the Leaf for the first time since... Was it 79 the last time we saw the Leaf Village, I think? Maybe 78 even. And we're meeting Onoki, who wakes up, which is, that's cool. I like Onoki. It's great that he's waking up. But yeah, I had a great time this episode. Hope you all did too. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, or subscribe, or do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!